Hello, my name is Francis Conrad, and I help people to live the life that they love. And today on this video, I'm going to talk about identity. To me, identity is a very powerful concept because so much of who I am and the way I live my life and what happens for me is a result of my identity. It's a result of who I think I am. It's a result of what it is that defines me. And how I define myself and who I think myself to be, that's going to give me direction in my life. It points me in a certain way. And sometimes people don't feel like you're going the right way. They want to be going this way, but their identity says, oh no, that's not the kind of person you are. You need to be going over here. And they're caught between feeling like this isn't working and this is what they really want. But they can't have this because who they are says they've got to have the one that they don't want. Well, we get caught up in these ways of thinking that they're sort of crazy, aren't they? If I really want to go this way, what's it going to take for me to explore that and to become the person who does that? Well, maybe I have to think of myself differently, and maybe I have to change my sense of who I am in order to go here. Well, I can do that. And if I don't like that, I could choose another one. So identity is not something that's hard and fixed. I've heard so many people say, oh, I can't do that. I'm not that way. That's not the kind of person I am. Well, guess what? If that's not the kind of person you am, then change it. Give yourself the opportunity to try something different. You might like it, or you might not, and then you change it again. So where does identity come from? I think it has its anchor, its roots in childhood, because it's like nobody can grow up in the world without gaining some sense of identity that defines who they are. So as children, we start to think, oh, I'm this kind of person, I like these things, this is what I don't like, this is how I act, and all of those things begin to come together. And when a person then is thinking of making a decision about something, their identity comes up and says, oh, don't choose that, that's not the kind of person you are. Remember, you're this kind of person. So it has a lot of power to sort of direct us in terms of what's possible and in terms of where we're going with our life. Now, as long as where we're going and what's possible is really what we would like, it feels right to us, and it's a reflection of our true self, that's no problem, because it's like, oh, I'm just being my true self. And when I say that, I know it's true. I feel it. But how many times are we thinking, this really isn't the way I want to live? I'm feeling limited and restricted. You know, I'm convincing myself I'm not very smart. I'm acting like I don't have friends, or I'm putting myself in situations that could be dangerous, and none of those things might feel good to me. And so, I'm stuck with an identity that I don't like. It's one that doesn't fit. Maybe that's a good way to think of it, fit. My identity, if it's going to be right for me, it's like a good fit. Well, they all start in childhood, and if you think about your family and your early upbringing, it's amazing we do as well as we do, isn't it? Because no family is perfect. Nobody, I think, has a complete sense of having an identity that supports who they are 100%. Those are things that we have to refine over a lifetime. Pick and choose and change, you know, to get the identity that matches us for who we really are. That's maybe the goal, isn't it? I want to be able to live this life going in a direction that fits just right, just fits me just right. And as I grow and learn, that identity needs to also grow and learn. It needs to change with me, because I'm not the same person at age 30 as I was at age 5. And for sure, at age 60 to 70, I guarantee you, I'm not the same person I was even 5 years ago. So we're always upgrading, but we may not take the time to think about how powerful that can be and what kind of choices we want to make around upgrading our identity. So my identity, if I were to use my own example, I'm a kid, probably, about 6, 7 years old, and it's Saturday morning. Now, in our house on Saturday, the whole house had to be cleaned before we could go out and play. During the week, you go to school, but on Saturdays, there's no school, and so there's freedom. But before you get your freedom, you've got to earn it. And the way you earn it is we split up all the responsibilities for cleaning the house, which would include things like sweeping the floor, dusting furniture, cleaning countertops, whatever else needed to be done. That was spread out between myself and all my siblings. Well, I was the second oldest, so I was usually the one that was in charge, to make sure things got done, to help people get started who were younger, to monitor that we're finishing everything that we agreed to do. Now, once we're done, what's the good news? The good news is that after that, you can go outside and play. So I check off that everything is done. Out the back door, everybody goes. My siblings, and they're in the backyard playing and laughing and having a good time. And I go to the bedroom. I can remember I'm sitting on the bed just feeling I don't belong anywhere. I don't belong with my siblings, because they're the kids. They're the ones who are having fun running around. I'm not one of them. I'm like this little adult that's in charge. And I don't belong with the adults because I'm just a kid. So where do I belong? Nowhere. I'm sitting on my bed. Now that became the basis of a lifelong identity that is not an identity that I wanted or that felt good at all. But that's the one I inherited, you could say. I was second oldest, and I was responsible and wanted to help my mother. So what did I do? I took on an identity that was responsible and helped my mother. Even though I was a kid, my identity didn't include me with the kids. It excluded me. So when they're off playing, I'm on the bed alone. Now you can imagine that identity went with me. When I went other places, I would be the one sitting on the outside and not participating. I would be the one that did not belong. I would be the one that felt like no matter what, I was different. I didn't fit. And that craziness actually became more and more of a problem as I got older, because I began to think, there must be something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I had all these I'm nots. And that identity justified why I wouldn't join, why I stayed on the outside. And I could just say to myself, that's the way I am. I don't belong, and I don't like to do those things. I'm not a part of a group. And what a lame excuse. Who said that was true? It's just something that I took on, like as if that's who I am. Now, as an older person, 25 years old, I'm standing at the doorway, looking in, and I'm in Italy. I'm actually in Rome, and it's evening, sun is going down, and there's a dining room all set up with round tables and different numbers of people and families all throughout the dining room area. and I look around and I'm all by myself. I'm in a foreign country. I have no idea of, anybody in this room. So my identity would say you're an outsider, you don't belong. This is not a place where you would, interact or approach people. But you see, I had one thing going for me. Over the years of traveling, I chose a new identity. You see, when I travel, I'm not that guy who stays on the outside and looks in. I'm not the older brother who doesn't participate and be a kid with everybody else. As a traveler, I'm the person who loves to be interacting and to meet people, and I'm the person who, as an identity, is outgoing. And so I look across this dining room with all these people, and I think, listening to my intuition, who should I approach? And I see several tables where people are by themselves. And I'm thinking, there's the one. Why I picked that one, I don't know, but something in me knew that that would be a great place for me to have dinner. So I would walk up to a total stranger because I'm a traveler, and they would introduce themselves. I would introduce myself. Hi, I'm Francis. And the conversation would usually come around to, that I'm a traveler, I'm from the United States. And this person is from Rome. And they would invite me. They'd say, sure, you can have dinner with me. Come on, let's sit down. And at that point, we would start a conversation that would connect me in a way that I never felt connected as a child at home, in a way that my identity limited me. Here I was going around the world by myself, interacting, reaching out to people, and really allowing myself to explore a totally new and totally different identity. So there's the power of identity and why it was so important for me. You see, if I was going to keep the identity I got as a child, I can't imagine what I would have done. I would have never been overseas by myself in Rome. I would have never been approaching people who are total strangers. And had I just stayed home and not approached people and limited myself and continued to buy into some crazy story that, the reason that I don't do things is I don't want to, or I'm not good enough, or it's not for me. I had all these excuses, but could you imagine where my life would have ended up? Had I had that identity, I would never have become a therapist. I would never have stepped out into the world of travel. I would never have moved, gotten married. That identity had no room for those things. So you could say it was a very limited identity, and it surely was one that did not support who I wanted to be, who I am. So I didn't keep it. I switched it. I'm now a different person, not from that identity, but from the one that I put together and explored. And I like it. I like being a traveler. I like being the person who is open to new experiences, to adventures. I like being able to approach people I don't know and to have, really significant exchanges. All of this is possible. And I think it's the power of identity that we have. It's the power of identity that all of us inherited when we became children. We started off with a temporary identity. And as we grow, we have the options of bringing in and experimenting with different ones. As I get older, and now I'm going into the later stages of life, guess what? It's a time to upgrade my identity. How am I going to be and what kind of a life am I going to live as a person in this later stage? Well, one of the things that I have some experience with is changing identities. And the way to do that is basically to start to look at what is it that you would like, what attracts you, what is it that you would want to have that maybe you're holding yourself back, or for whatever reason you're just not doing it. Well, a new identity might be in order. If you start to live a life that fits the identity that no longer is yours, then you're like putting yourself into some sort of prison. That identity it's not serving you. So when it doesn't serve you, how about dumping it overboard? Yeah, it's a little bit of a risky thing. It took me years to get used to approaching people and traveling and being in foreign countries all by myself, but I wouldn't give it up, because what? My identity was that I was a world traveler, and that fit me, and it really connected me to something that felt authentic. What I'd like to suggest is everybody has a need to upgrade identity at times. But I'd also like to suggest that we also need to be aware of which ones might be holding us back, which ones are no longer serving us, so that we not only get rid of the parts of ourselves that limit us and keep us from the life that we want, but at the same time, we look forward to the choices that we have. The choice to pick an identity that really is, if it's something we can be passionate about, it's as simple as that. Something that makes us feel good when we do it. Something that matches the challenges that we'd like to move into and going in the direction we'd like to head. All of that and more, because once we start and make that choice towards a identity, we have no idea what that might lead to. And so it's a great journey, you know. I start thinking I want to be a traveler. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means I go to foreign countries. What does that mean? It means that I put myself in situations that are not always what I expected, or not always comfortable. Well, what does that mean? It means that I'm a traveler. It means I love the adventure. It means that this is the way I want to live. And I come home and I tell other people, because travel has been so powerful for me. I want others to also know about travel and what it does, not only for me, but I want to spark in them that sense of living the life that they want and choosing what it is that they have to do. So you see, identity is mine, but it also in a way is shared, because when I feel good about the way I'm living and who I am, what I want to do is I want to encourage other people. I share. I want them to have the same opportunity. I want them to get the identity fit, you know, that's right for them. I want them to be able to, like me, walk around in a way of life that really is not only something that they are passionate about and feel good about, but really gets them excited to contribute to others and to encourage other people to find what it is that they want that fits them. So here's the question. After all this, the question is simply, are you living the life that you love? And if you are, what is the identity that supports that? Because to have such a life, to have a life we love and that we're passionate about, that's a real precious thing, and you want to really acknowledge who you are for that. Now, if you're not, then the question is maybe doubly important. What do you want? What is it that really turns you on? What is it that you would like to have in your life? And as you think about those things, what you're really thinking about is identity. What kind of person would I be to have this kind of life? What kind of person, what kind of identity, what kind of being would match with the life that I'm wanting to pursue. So I give people credit, lots of credit, for taking the time, not only to choose to do something different, but to be willing to let go of what no longer supports them, to let go of the old identities, pick new ones, find the one that really matches perfect for you, and enjoy it, and really join in and be a part of. I know that as a child, it was not the identity that was right for me, but it was the identity in that situation where I could do something that I wanted. I was able to support my mother. I was able to be a part of the family, even if I wasn't one of the kids. Well, today that's no longer who I am, and I'm glad. And that's my wish for everyone on the call. So I hope that all of you get to live the life you want, having the identity that totally supports that. Thank you for listening. Push like below, leave comments. I love to see those. Thank you.